Hey everyone, here is a recap for today's lesson. Remember, we are in this series about changing our world, and what we are looking at is that changing the world starts with how we see the world and everyone around us. That we need to be in this mindset and this action thought of immediately just caring for those and helping those in our lives, and that we change the world through the ways that we treat the people around us. And we talked about last week that changing our world starts with being able to love the people who are immediately in our world right now, our family, our friends, our neighbors, the people we sit next to at school. That we change the perspective of the people that we actually encounter every day, and then seeing the chain reaction of how that changes our perspective to the people that we don't encounter every day. And so we take that, and then we moved into today's lesson and the theme, and we talked about failure. And I use failure as this big term, like failure of when people don't meet our expectations. And that could be the big things, like people who have broken your heart or like cause actual pain in your lives, or even just the small things of like someone who didn't move out of your way when you're trying to walk around them. Someone who bumped into you at the store, anything like that. When people don't meet our expectations, how do we respond to that? And so part of our changing our world is changing how we respond to the ways people fail around us or don't meet our expectations. And we looked at the story from John chapter 21 at the end of John's gospel, where Jesus responds to Peter's failure as his disciple with love, where he asks this question of like, do you love me? Then go ahead and take care of my church. And this overlooks and reinstates Peter from the time when he denied Jesus. And so we see Jesus encountering Peter in this time when Peter denied and turned his back on Jesus, and Jesus saying, hey, you know what? You didn't meet my expectations, but I love you and I want you to do big things. And so we got to take that mindset as well. And so part of that is recognizing that what Jesus is looking in that situation is looking at the heart, where we often discourage people because they don't meet our expectations based off of what they do or do not achieve in our lives. Jesus looks at our heart and calls us to look at the hearts of other people as well. And so we need to remember, see people who they are and not what we want them to be or what they can achieve for us. Because when we live to meet the expectations, it puts values on what they can bring into our lives rather than who we see them to be and how God sees them to be. And so our takeaway and our perspective is that we need to recognize for ourselves and others that God values our hearts more than what we can achieve or like the expectations that we can live up to. Because when we see how God's valuing our hearts, that is what changes what we do and changes the world and changes how we just live and care for others. So seek to value the heart and identities of those around you, so that you can learn to respond out of care and concern for who they are rather than for what they do. That is the perspective of how we go in and change the world, that we respond to people based off of who they are and who God wants them to be and how God sees them and the value God places in their life rather than what they can achieve or do or accomplish for us personally. All right? Continue to read the notes below and answer the questions, and I would love to discuss more with you. So let us know if you have any thoughts or questions that you would like to talk about. Bye, guys.